The following video is one in a series of Just Asking Questions with WAPTech videos. This one is concerning comments left under a video. Quick background on the video. The video was on the subject of one or more individuals that exploit people on the internet mostly, but also through other methods, by getting them to pay them money, supposedly so they could get taught something about how to harass a court, judge, or other into dropping a case or letting them win. These methods have not worked in any documented way that would be significant or even existent at all, but that didn't change the fact that these individuals would sell this supposed secret knowledge on how to beat the system. And those individuals were the subject of the video. And also part of this was that the people that were tricked into thinking this shit worked are also subjects. Now, the next thing is, I'm the one presenting the video, so I'm another person that a comment could be directed at, but they could also be directing it at the victims of these charlatans or the charlatans themselves, or again, it could just be me. The next thing is, this is a comment under the video in the comment section and could be directed at someone in the comment section. Or a bunch of these could be implying somehow that it's about one or more of them, or all of them. Now, ironically, this is on a subject of syntax, grammar, and parsing statements. Now, I'm going to be doing an example of it because this one had spelling errors, punctuation that didn't make any sense, and I'm attempting to, as we used to say when I was younger, suss out what the hell is being said here. And yeah, compared to doing Koine Greek, Aramaic, and Hebrew and trying to figure out what the hell someone's saying with all the vowels missing, or is it consonants? I can't tell which one I'm talking about at this point. This is about as bad. Here we go. I'll read it, each statement, as best as I can. I'm the one putting in, I'm putting in punctuation to try to make it less crazy. And then I'll read what I'm interpreting it. Interpretive dance class with WAPTech. Spoken word photography, I used to call it. So his logic, who are you referring to? His logic is that we, the uneducated, misled, agreed to be enslaved by the courts by being its subjects. Now I'm just going to address this. I'm not going to reword it. The legal system, if it had to work off the basis of getting consent from the accused and the convicted, wouldn't work. By extension, getting consent of the people who are coming into the court as accused individuals can't happen either. I do not consent is meaningless to a legal system, even more so to an enforcement system of any kind. And that's just the way it is. Now, this has to be, of course, cut with something to make it go down better, like us being allowed to get a lawyer who isn't uneducated on the subject and isn't able to be misled, presumptively, we assume that. As for agreeing to be enslaved, no slave agreed to anything, but then again, no convicted murderer ever agreed to go to prison. There are exceptions, but by and large, that's really true. The courts, however, don't make you their subjects. That's different. Next statement. I thought judges couldn't mislead. Or is it that laws as written could be misleading? I'm rewording this because they insert another word in here that gums up the works. Again, this sounds like a person did a sovereign citizen stuff, but maybe not. Again, this could all just be bad grammar or a lack of punctuation or a translation error from another language. Judges are not allowed to or are not supposed to mislead the defendant or plaintiff. The prosecutor or the defense attorneys are also not supposed to be misled, but they can be. And witnesses are allowed to be misled, depending on circumstance. As long as the end result is facts are brought to life, lies are not permitted to be used, and the outcome of the case matches what should happen based on whether or not some wrong has been committed and the person or persons that committed the wrong are either made to undo it or are punished, or both, and variations thereof. But by and large, judges don't lie, because that's grounds for being removed from the bench, being disbarred, or just going through a court case where they're the defendant and they don't have any authority in the room, which is something judges don't like. As for laws as being written, if a law has been in place for a very long time, and especially after it's been gone through several revisions to remove ambiguity or make it to where it's not in some specialized wording like we use with Latin, if it's made for the common person to understand it, it will eventually evolve into something that isn't misleading. It may end up being something that you want to remove, specifically because it no longer misleads you about its intent, or basis, origin. But this person says the fictional laws written can be misleading. The presumption in this one statement, fictional laws, is that there are laws that are fictional, or all laws are fictional. So let's continue. What about the fact that everything, if somebody starts a sentence with that, you should already have an alarm going off in your head that they're overgeneralizing, and more importantly, that they're probably saying something that is patently false. And or they're using an extremely narrow definition of what they're about to say as a fact, but failing to acknowledge, oh yeah, this is only in Call of Duty on Tuesday. What about the fact that everything, including law itself, is a fiction, even by law standards? The legal standard for what a fiction is a lot like fictitious forces in physics. It's a misleading statement to call them fictitious. They are forces that have real effects, but they're not really, within the definition of a force, a real force. In the legal system, are laws ever a fiction? Now, here's where we take this apart a little more deeply, or more accurately, going to the shallow end of this. What do you mean by this, and where is your example? Because you're making a somewhat odd or extraordinary statement. Provide an example. If you claim something as a fact, applying to everything, that everything itself is a fiction. Why are you even having this conversation? Next. Why are you claiming that laws are fictitious or a fiction by legal standard? There are things that are referred to as a legal fiction, a fiction within the standpoint of a law, I suppose you're referring to. But does that apply literally to everything, and is it really a fact? Stating something's a fact either is universal, applying to everything, or is in a very limited universe. There's no response to this. I'm simply pointing out that you failed to meet the basic criteria of, if you're making an assertion, provide some basis for us to listen to you. Otherwise known as prove it, or we should ignore you easily. But I don't know what you were saying here. Again, this is about someone's communication skills here, primarily. Next, we get the infamous you, which could refer to me, someone in the comments section, one of the people I talked about in the YouTube video I put up, that we'll call the huckster, and their victims, or all of us or none of us. You want to say that a creature of man, definition, a creature of man that only exists in the mind, not in physical form, has power that is also a fiction. I'm not sure who's saying this. I'm not sure if you're looking up David Wynn Miller or any of the other people I talked about in the video. I'm mentioning him because he's in the title of the video, and just use that as an example. Are you referring to me? And what does this mean? The power, now if we actually parse this, someone is saying a creature of man, without a definition, or a creature that only exists in the mind of man, not having a physical form, has power that is a fiction. A fictional power held by a fictional entity that exists only in the mind of man. Is that an appropriate reinterpretation? Again, I don't know where to go with this because you're not being clear about what you're talking about. Now, contrary to most people who might be watching this about and thinking this is about sovereign citizens, most sovereign citizens go out of their way to use the same damn buzzwords over and over again. Are you talking about a straw man? There's a basis for this expression. It has gained a definition. Are you avoiding it, or are you dismantling the definition without mentioning what you're defining? Let's move on. And again, I'm merely commenting on the lack of clarity. It's not that any of us are above the law, it's the fact that some, like you, abuse it for profit. I'm removing some extraneous bullshit here. It's not that anybody is above the law, it's that some abuse the law for profit. Yeah, but the legal system itself avoids this, and again, this is the basis to remove people from position most of the time. There are variations to this, and there are examples of abuse, yes. But you say, people like you abuse it for profit. Now, are you talking about our charlatan that lies about the legal system, gives people a bunch of instructions on how to harass a judge, and then does surprise Pikachu face when it doesn't work, but doesn't give you your money back? Are you talking about the legal system itself being abused for profit, and it's people like me? We'll go on. This is where this may be coming from. This is actually a somewhat logical progression, but it's still ambiguous. You conveniently left out, and then I'm going to dismantle this and go forward a little bit, in a way that is misleading. The statement's meaning, at the beginning and the end, bookending the next statement, says, somebody saying I or someone left out, lying by omission, and are being misleading, the following statement. In the oath to tell the truth, how the word truth is used. Now, I'm rearranging this because it's not arranged this way. I'm going to read it verbatim, but in the oath to tell the truth, the whole truth and nothing but the truth, how the word truth is used is seemingly having some special meaning, or maybe it means the exact opposite of what it means. That's what's being alluded to here. But someone is saying, someone, me, someone in the comment section, somebody, was lying by omission. That's the expression, lying by omission. So, you lying by omission about the oath to tell the truth, how the word truth is used within it. Now, I understand that this might sound much more complicated, but here it is without me reprocessing or parsing it. You conveniently left out how the word truth is used in the oath to tell the truth, but that's not misleading. Saying a statement that you don't believe, that's not misleading when you're obviously claiming it is. It's just mucking things up. Next one. Your opinion of someone who says they believe in Jesus is telling how you feel about your oath of office. At this point, I'm not sure if they're referring to anybody but me, and I don't have an oath of office I've taken in this sense. Remember, the oath comes from Jesus, and that tells me, again, it's telling, that tells me this guy don't care that he has forsaken his sacrifice, Jesus' sacrifice, when he took it. I'm actually inserting more words here and putting punctuation to try to make sense of it at this point. It's becoming slightly unhinged. Most likely, it won't bother him when he forsakes his sacrifice, Jesus' sacrifice, a second time when he don't uphold that oath. He is being misleading when he say understand. Understanding is agreeing to terms of a contract, but nice red herring, only those who are not aware of that misleading trick. The word understand means what it means in conventional speech and is used virtually entirely in the legal system the same way. It does not have a special meaning like standing under. Which, by the way, this is the same person who made that assertion as well. Understanding is not always an agreement to terms of a contract. Demanding that everything be shoehorned into commercial contract law is the red herring, unless people are aware that that's a trick. and you're being misleading. Thanks for watching. Have a good day. Good luck with that.